Hello everyone and welcome back to another list video. In this one we're gonna go into one that hurts to do every single time. Of course I'm talking about the worst songs of 2024. But this year we had some really bad ones, so strap on because this is gonna be a wild ride. One track per artist so that the list would be balanced, but before we get into the 10 worst songs, we have 5 dishonorable mentions first. And we're gonna start with Cockblocker by Kim Petras. Kim Petras keeps on making some of the worst sensual dance pop tracks in recent memory in my opinion, like unnecessarily vulgar and hedonistic, of poor taste, and Cockblocker is by far the stupidest and worst one lyrically. It's so simplistic and effortless. The beat is just old school house trash, and once again having Dr. Luke, a sexual abuser on the production of this thing, is not helping. Next one we're gonna include one of the garbage songs out of Ian's project, Figure It Out, with one of the cringiest mixtapes to come out this year. Figure It Out is one of those trap tracks that is just painful on everything. Unoriginal, poorly mixed, offbeat, with weak rapping and unbearable vocal effects. Really short with no effort to its structure. This is one of the many tracks in the mixtape that has the whole package on being absolutely horrendous. Next up we got G-Eazy with Anxiety. This track takes the cake for having one of the worst vocal effects I've heard in a song this year. The instrumental goes from this generic pop tune to awkward transition on trap beats, the verse is this bizarre back and forth on different vocal effects, and the chorus is just its own thing, just ridiculous. Next I'm gonna include Road Rage by Eminem, especially nowadays with how hectic things are with the laws against queer communities. Having one of the most famous rappers wanting to go back in an era with no cancel culture and make a transphobic song is a low blow, a desperate attempt to try and show how he still doesn't give any fucks, and it results in another juvenile song from a rapper whose career keeps on going downhill. And finally on the dishonorable mentions, I'm gonna mention the skit from French Montana. Out of a series of really boring and unengaging trap tracks with awful lyrical content, what takes the cake is this cringe skit that is filled with sexism, and it's just a really off-putting conversation that is unfunny and of bad taste. Another case of a rap album with some poor skit choices that should not be released. And now, we're at the top 10. And we start with the track Space High from Lil Uzi Vert. Lil Uzi Vert decides to end Eternal Take 2 with such a bizarre track for how bad it is, and leaves me with so many questions. This goes beyond Lil Uzi being overconfident with her vocals and doing whatever they want. This is just nuts all over the place. The instrumental is this poorly mixed collection of 808s. There is an infuriating amount of repetition on vocal lines, and at times the voice and the autotune just get so over the top. It's such a weird track, really. Number 9 we have Half Dead with Machine Gun Kelly and Trippie Redd. The new EP of MGK genre Sad Boy is a really sad attempt on making emo rap, and alongside a washed up Trippie Redd that sounds way off and uninterested, it makes for some hilarious results. Most hilarious of them all has to be the song Half Dead, with the inclusion of those snorts like fake crying. Apart from that, the formula of emo rap over here is beyond basic, with some hideous autotune vocals and really bad vocal and rap performances. The meltdown of MGK about the negative reception of the project makes this all even better and more hilarious. Number 8 is Falling in Reverse with All My Life. There are many tracks that I could highlight out of the new Falling in Reverse album. I decided to go with a country rock one that transitions to alternative metal for a few moments and has the most laughably bad chorus out of the whole album. From the accents, the deliveries and the, let's say, interesting choices on vocal inflections and effects, this track immediately caught my attention on how bad it is and how hard it tried to be this blend of country and metal, but it doesn't work, it really doesn't. Number 7, it's Eyes Closed by Imagine Dragons. The crazy thing about Imagine Dragons is that you would expect one of their deep cuts to suck the most, but once again they managed to offer their worst with the main singles. Outside of the obnoxious mainstream cliches of pop rock that are very usual and predictable for Imagine Dragons at this point, this track decides to have a sort of dubstep post-chorus with some wobble bass, and I couldn't think of a weaker excuse of a wobble bass than this one. At this point, just make everything overblowing. I have no idea what is this piss poor excuse of a bass. It lacks any sort of energy and feels extremely disconnected. Also, the use of these weird mocking type rap deliveries has to be a joke. There's no way anyone could take this vocal delivery seriously. Once again, Imagine Dragons don't disappoint on making cringe mainstream slop. At number 6, it's T-Pain teaming up with Mark Zuckerberg, creating this project Z-Pain with the track Get Low. Why is this a thing? Songs like this make you wonder if we live in a simulation. This is an acoustic ballad of T-Pain, who I actually consider to be a decent and fun guy, and it's in collaboration with Mark Zuckerberg out of all people, the CEO of Facebook. Like, why? Are we seriously trying to garner sympathy for a multi-billionaire behind a heavily responsible social media platform? Is he trying to be hip with the younger generation? I don't get it. This song is also apparently a cover, but whatever, it sucks. The vocals suck. The lyrics are so god-awful. I get it that it's kind of a parody and it's not meant to be taken seriously, but it's still really bad. Disappointed by T-Pain for this. Painfully unfunny and with no reason to exist at all in my opinion. Number 5, this is where it gets really rough. We have the Serial remix out of the track The Sound of Silence by Disturbed. If the cover from Disturbed back then was not enough, here we have a Clubhouse remix that it's the same level of hilariously bad, just like with the recent David Guetta remixes, if not even worse. A song that has managed somehow to have more than 300 million streams on Spotify. Serial's remix feels so effortless, it's just really funny. The vocals just happen to be on a faster tempo. There are some weird unnecessary vocal effects that make them sound much worse, and the instrumental is this really bland Ibiza house type beat. I really can't get how there's any traction to this, but honestly, I'm all here for it. This is so bizarre that it exists. It's hilarious. Number 4, let's get the obvious out of the way. We have You Missed by Tom MacDonald. As it is to be expected, a list with the worst songs of the year wouldn't be complete without the obligatory inclusion of a Tom MacDonald track. I could go with Facts that has Ben Shapiro, but honestly, that one was pretty hilarious. You Missed, on the other hand, is just a god-awful political rap song. Taking place right after the assassination attempt of Trump, Tom decides to immediately jump the gun and make a song about it, glorifying the president and thanking God he's still alive while simultaneously trying to profit off of his assassination attempt. Lyrically, as you can guess, it constantly contradicts itself, and it heavily focuses on how leftists cannot bear arms and aim. It's so stupid. It's the same basic line of argumentation over and over again. There is nothing productive to be said anymore. Tom MacDonald takes the spot once again, and we just move on. Number 3, we have Neurospicy by Jax. The new album of Jax has been god-awful, but what has been the most painful experience is these god-awful interludes that make such fantastic job on being unfunny and obnoxious. In the case of Neurospicy, it's almost insulting and offensive, and shows complete detachment of the topics she's talking about. Any sort of light criticism or skepticism about her approach on topics just completely falls out of the window with hideous tracks like this. Horrible ukulele song that tries so hard to be funny but completely misses the mark. It's unbearable and of pretty bad taste. Number 2 is gonna be a pretty obvious one. It's Bigfoot by Nicki Minaj. This year was really iconic for these tracks, both insanely good and also insanely bad. and Nicki Minaj's diss on Megan Thee Stallion will go down in history as one of the worst diss tracks ever created. Lyrically aside, this rap beat is total garbage, but it's obviously Nicki's abhorrent attitude, pretentious bitchy deliveries and lines that are uncalled for that make this diss track such a stinker. Bringing no evidence for her claims, accusing her of lying for being shot, etc., and with threats that are just juvenile, it's just absolutely embarrassing and just sounds so childish, immature. And why is this whole thing 4 minutes long, with the final minute just being this obnoxious a cappella? Poorly made, effortless, and just a joke, but a really bad one. And finally, number 1, with what I personally consider to be the worst song of the year, is Hell from Beyond the Stars by Virgin Steel. Well, yes, Virgin Steel has been on a massive downward spiral for those who are not aware. Even if you're not a fan of their past works, you can't deny that they have some classics under their belt for US power metal, and now just being solely a project of the main member David DeFish, it seems like he has completely lost it. Outside of those in metal communities, you might have no idea that this even existed, and I only learned of this because my friend really likes the classic works of Virgin Steel, and when I listened to this, I was just baffled. If you think that anything prior to this sounds bad, this is like a fever dream. Only uploaded on YouTube, it's accompanied with a video clip that feels like it's a fan made from back in 2007, and the music, the lyrics, the vocals, the mixing, everything is so off. You have no idea, like it's so funny, and the fact that this has the Virgin Steel name behind it is insulting. Maybe not the most offensive out of everything in the list, but the delivery being way off, the vocal effects sounding so awful, this ridiculous mechanical drumming, the weird use of synthesizers, everything just feels so unreal. It's undoubtedly one of the most shockingly poorly made songs I've heard. It really sounds like a parody. It's so bad indeed that comments and likes have been disabled, truly in disbelief that this exists and has the name Virgin Steel behind it. And so this is it. These are my 10, or in this case 15 songs that I absolutely despise. What's your opinion in any of these songs, and what are your least favorite tracks out of 2024? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.